A very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Rumbles on Galaxy Television. My name is Kolawole Akintoba. Our special guest is an accountant by profession. He is a businessman and a real estate developer. It's my pleasure to welcome on today's edition of Rumbles for the second time His Imperial Majesty Obade Eniton Babatunde Ogunwusi, the Oni of Ife, Jaja II. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking time out to talk to us again.
That's okay.
I see that you're very, very busy.
Well, it's a sacred calling
Right.
to the glory of God. It's called to service to humanity. So I take each day as it comes.
Right. It's a little over 2 years for you on the throne of your forefathers. Tell us how that experience has been.
Well, to the glory of God, when I got to the throne and when I ascended the throne and I told God Almighty and everybody that I am here on this sacred stool and this institution for a reason and for a purpose. I clearly knew what I needed to do when I started, and God has actually prepared me. So going through the 13 problems and 13 challenges will not really be a surprise, but to the glory of God, it's been ups and downs, but so far so good. We've been able to achieve quite a lot.
Right.
I put out the strategy very clearly to blend tradition and modernity. That is very key and very, very important to our day-to-day life activities, because any race that does not focus on her tradition will die a natural death. Our tradition and heritage is part of us and part of who we are. So I decided to do a lot of renaissance of our tradition, the Yoruba tradition and heritage, vis-a-vis our socio-economic lifestyle. So basically to blend tradition and modernity. So I set that goal and it is set. I setting socially and economically viable initiatives and also traditionally viable initiatives. So the first one is the social initiatives. To use all the social menace and challenges we are having, we use all the things in terms of our heritage and our culture and tradition to try and see how to curb all the menace in the society. And so far so good, it's actually worked to be more socially friendly in terms of our tradition, to encourage the youth, because the demography in Nigeria and even the entire continent of Africa is over 70% of youth between the age of 16 and 45. So that means we're gradually losing something. We're losing grip of our heritage and culture. So 45 years ago, our heritage pretty much strong to some extent, but the youth of nowadays, because of what they believe in, they are not in line and in tune with our tradition. So I've been able to blend it, and we have a lot of testimonials. We've been able to reach out. It won't be the normal sit in the palace king. I've been able to reach out to a lot of people. The category of elders that belong to the old order had issues concerning that. But the youth, they are very, very happy about it, that they don't even know our culture, they don't know the history. So we've been able to socially use that stool to reach out to a lot of youth. It has worked. Economically, so far so good. We've taken over 300,000 to 400,000 youth off the street in terms of our various initiatives.
In Ile-Ife.
Not only in Ile-Ife,
Across
across the entire country, but particularly the southwestern region. And these are facts. They are testimonials, not that we're just talking the talk. We only walk the talk. We don't talk the talk. And we can count them one after the other. Crime rate in Ife has dropped. Crime rates in this environment in Osun State has dropped drastically because we've been able to engage the youth, encourage them to go back into farming, go back into subsistence farming, go back into small and medium scale ventures, encourage them. If you look at the palace, the chair that we do maintenance of it, we encourage the youth to do it. All the railings, the refurbishing of the palace, we have to engage the youth for hands-on experience for them to actually get things done. So we have a lot of testimonials, particularly in the area of agriculture. It's very labor intensive, and we've been able to encourage youth to go back into farming. Our bananas now and vegetables and even plantain that is being wasted in the farmlands are being properly taken care of. We've taken it out of Ife and the Ife environment all the way to extended to different parts of Southwest. Even oranges, as simple as oranges. The way they used to pluck oranges, they used to shake the tree and all the things will drop. They have been used to it. So 60-70% of the products are wasted, rotting away, and they will just drop on the floor and they will just get spoiled. So we encourage putting cushion around those trees. Cushion, how much is it? It's not that expensive. They will put cushion around the orange trees and they will still shake and it will just bounce on the cushion. Now we've been able to recover more than 50% of natural wastage of oranges, and those things are material input for a lot of things in Nigeria now. It has a very positive resultant effect on even the economy. If you look at it now in Nigeria, pretty much they are not importing rice again. Pretty much a lot of people have gone back into farming. The success story for maize plantation, vegetable plantation over the last year, 2 years in Nigeria is wonderful. If you look at it again, so many other things like orange juice now, you don't need to import. You have to produce it locally and it's working. So far so good. We are attacking it from the root of what we want to get done economically. And the other one is traditionally, like I told you, there is no country that does not have a grip of the tradition and heritage of that country. You have actually lost a lot of ground. You can't survive without your heritage or your tradition. Look at Japan. They didn't lose their heritage. They didn't lose their tradition. Look at China. Look at India. It's still intact. It has been properly integrated into their system and their day-to-day life activities. But we, not only in the western part of Nigeria, but across the entire country, we have used borrowed Western culture and tradition, which is really, really working against us. But for us, we believe our heritage, our tradition should be at the front burner.
Right. Two-year reign on the throne, what would you say is your most challenging moment so far?
Well, so far so good is to blend that tradition and modernity. But to the glory of God, it's a big challenge. Social media age now, trying to convince a lot of youths, they don't even know the name of their king in their community. They don't even know where they are from. Look at Ooni of Ife was the first governor general in the entire black race in Africa. That was the very first appointed. And at some point, they said, okay, traditional institutions should vacate on a gradual basis. Until 1976, 79, traditional institutions were inside Nigerian constitution. Human migration out of Africa started from Yoruba race. Everybody converged at the centerpiece of tropical Africa, and everybody started to migrate. The out of Africa theory started from here. At some point, the world population 100,000 years ago were less than 30,000 people, 20,000, 30,000 people. Very small. You can imagine. They told us that we're idol worshippers. How are we idol worshippers? We call God Almighty. But we people, we have not really taken our time to study who we are.
You talked about the youths at the level at which you're doing this major project and all that. Let's look at the youths in Nigeria. Do you think government is paying enough attention to that sector?
Well, when I talk about the youth of this country, it breaks me down so much because we are sitting on gunpowder. I have been there before God brought me to this tour. I can never forget where I am, where I was then. So that's the reason why every day of my life, I am always focused on youth and youth emancipation. The truth be told, no government is not paying attention on Nigerian youth. Nobody. And they have the largest block in terms of workforce, in terms of propensity to consume, propensity to turn around the economy, even propensity to vote. They have it. It's the youth. And it's unfortunate government is not really focusing on them. Do they even know the numbers of youth in the country? Do they even know the class of that demography? So it's a very, very unfortunate situation. We don't have a proper plan for the youth. What this current government is trying, they have a lot of Empower initiative that is being driven online and so many other employment generation initiatives. But it's rather too long for government not to have been doing anything for a long time.
But what would you say are the consequences for a nation that pays little or no attention to the youth?
I just mentioned to you gunpowder. When you sit on gunpowder, it will explode at some day. That's the truth. Nobody will be able to, even rich men. How will you drive to your house and you will meet youth on the road? I don't pray that we will get to a level that they will be mocked. But we should focus on how to be sensitive to the desire and everything the youth of this country need. They are the engine room of the nation. That's the truth. That is the engine room. How many times, when last did we hear of any youth in Nigeria of age bracket of 20 or 21 or even to the age bracket of 30 breaking new grounds? Nigerian youths then, they were pioneers, our leaders. The current President Muhammadu Buhari was a youth at 33, was a governor of Borno State. They were very powerful and influential youths then. How can a 33-year-old be a governor now? Who will allow that person to get there? Do we have a 30-year-old as a minister? They are fresh, they are very active, they have a lot of energy. They can get things done, they can move. They won't get tired. They just want to conquer new grounds. They all conquered new grounds and they are still alive. To the glory of God, God will continue to keep them alive. A lot of elder statesmen. We have the likes of Gowon, that even got married on the throne. He was a single man when he was the president of the country, a bachelor. A lot of them, General Babangida, even President Olusegun Obasanjo, and all what have you. They were young, they were pioneers. Wole Soyinka, how old were all of them? And now, when they were trying to face the colonial system. And they were pioneers. And most of them are still alive. To Nigerian youths, psychologically, the self-esteem is not there. Just to encourage them. Give them push. Give them push. For them to take the mantle of leadership. For them to take the ownership of what naturally belongs to them. If Nigerian youth should come together now, then there will be progress in this country. They can do anything. There's nothing they can do to fight their rights. But I think we still need to continue to encourage them.
Well, still on your two-year reign on the throne, what would you say is your most challenging moment so far?
Well, so far so good. Is to blend that tradition and modernity. But to the glory of God, it's a big challenge. Social media age now, trying to convince a lot of youths, they don't even know the name of their king in their community. They don't even know where they are from. Most of them live in cosmopolitan cities. And they don't even understand our culture. How close are they to nature? How close are they to their heritage? It's a problem. They're not interested. But it's been like a tug of war, but so far so good. Now they're getting interested. What I did is to use what they are used to blend it with tradition. It's blending tradition and modernity. It has encouraged them. So they now I have huge followers, huge youth followers on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook, and all what have you. Because I've been able to let them see clearly what tradition is all about. A lot of them just think it's a myth, but now I brought tradition very close to their door.
But if you also look at the 2 years you spent on this one, is there anything in particular you wish you had done differently up to the stage?
Well, so far so good. I don't think so, because before I do things, I will have processed it properly, adequately. I'm not perfect, but I just try to strive perfection and work towards perfection. I'm not 100% perfect. Some things that I do, a lot of people will have probably said I should do it differently, but so far so good. Maybe I would have loved to take it easy, but now it's a lot of work for me. You can see it today. Look at the time we agreed to have interview. Look at the time we're having interview. It's really telling on me, because it's just only God that can give me the strength. It's a lot of work. Youths on the average that I meet on a daily basis is between 2,000 and 3,000 on a daily basis. Every day, unless I'm not on the throne. Maybe I travel. Even if I travel anywhere I am, they will look for me, because they believe there's something good that will come out of this initiative that we're putting together. And so far so good. God has been very wonderful and been very supportive.
Now let's look at the impact of civilization and modern forms of governance as it affects the power and authority of traditional rulers. How would you say that has affected the traditional institutions?
Well, it has, but traditional institution is part of nature. I was at Chatham House a couple of weeks ago in London to deliver that lecture, to let the world know that tradition and traditional institution is part of nature. It's the same way you must see sun, rain fall, the air that you breathe in, things that are of importance, water you drink, they are all nature given. And you cannot do without nature. Nature does not need you. You are the one that need nature to survive. So traditional institution is part of the way God designed governance. As a result, the more you try to kill it, especially in where it all began, because everything started from Africa. Even migration started from Africa. And it is only Africa that is still very strong in terms of kingship system. And the next continent is continent in the Middle East. They are very strong when it comes to kingship system as well. It's part of God's giving. God laid down principles and procedures of the world. So for civilization and civilized government, it has actually, if left to civilized government, is just to jettison and just call it a day with traditional institution. But it's been very difficult. So look at Nigeria as a good example. If politicians want to get to the throne, become government, they become governor and get to government, they have to go through traditional institutions to campaign. The palaces are very critical. So they usually go through the palaces. And it's not advisable for traditional rulers to be involved in politics. They should play neutral stance in everything they do. So my point is, the more it's been tried to be destroyed, the more God will continue to strengthen it, because that's part of human existence.
Right. Well, you're an advocate for having the traditional institutions in this country recognized under the Constitution. Now, what impact will that make if this goes through?
They were recognized before, remember? Between late 50s and early 60s till 1962, they were the most relevant. Look at Ooni of Ife was the first Governor General in the entire black race in Africa. That was the very first appointed. And at some point, they said, okay, traditional institutions should vacate on a gradual basis. Until 1976, 79, traditional institutions were inside Nigerian Constitution. Gradually, they were taken away completely because they think absolute power corrupts absolute. But the truth be told, they have a very pivotal role to play in grassroots governance, in grassroots community development. If you come to this palace, they prefer the courts in the palace than going to the civilized customary courts or appeal courts. They prefer to come to the courts till date. They will tell you that the judgment here is fair and we're good with that, other than going to go and buy stamp duty, 50 naira, 100 naira, pay this, pay that, and they'll be running up and down. They don't like it. That's our natural, who we are naturally. So I would have advised that we should integrate the two together. It's about blending tradition and modernity. So traditional institutions can never be overemphasized. It's critical. We still play that relevant and pivotal role in the system of governance.
So how do you begin to engage the system to ensure that this institution, this important institution, is recognized again
we're doing that
under the Constitution?
We're doing a lot of advocacy. You must have been seeing the advocacy we've been doing.
Right.
And so far so good, government is listening to us. We've already constituted legally now National Council of Traditional Institutions in Nigeria, which I am the co-chairman with Sultan of Sokoto. The two of us are the co-chairman for that in Nigeria. And that's a welcome development. It's been on for more than, we've been trying to do it before even I got to the throne. And so far so good, it's really, really working. So therefore, government is listening to us. They are ready to sit down with us, have meetings with us, because we are closer to the people.
Well, let's look closely at the National Council of Traditional Rulers, of which you are chairman. There's a school of thought that believes that the existence of that body offends the federal principle. How do you respond to that?
I don't believe that. Why? Who will say that? Nobody influenced the traditional institution. We all have how we will all consent and agree on how to work together. It wasn't government that forced it on us. We decided to come together and make it work and support everything that government does. We're not competing with the government. We want the life of each and everybody in the country to be better. So how can we say it's not in line and in tune with principles of government? No. We want to support because they can't do it alone. Like every day I see my people, we have to work together. It's very important. And that's the reason why we did that. We have to go out of our way to make sure that things like that are being put together.
Well, in terms of the differences across board, you have different traditional institutions coming together at this point under this body to effect these various moves. How do you begin to address the differences in terms of the culture, in terms of the beliefs of coming together to work under one umbrella?
That's a very good question. Our diversity is our strength. Yes, we're going to have challenges, but that's our diversity. Diversity, we have seen a lot of strength in it. So it is the strength we are focusing on. To converge everybody together, it's not easy at all. But we are really, look at it, to the glory of God, I ascended the throne at a very tender young age. I will make myself more selfless and more ready to serve than to disturb a very elderly traditional ruler. Things that I need to do, I'll quickly do it. I'll get it done on behalf of the entire institution. So it's very important for us to know how to balance the whole thing. And so far so good, it's been working. We haven't been very active, but the formation stage, and so far so good, it's been concluded. So we will support government, I can assure you. We will have a role to play, very impactful role, and you'll be hearing about us. Social media age now, trying to convince a lot of youths, they don't even know the name of their king in their community. They don't even know where they are from. Look at Ooni of Ife, was the first governor general in the entire black race in Africa. That was the very first appointed. And at some point, they said, okay, traditional institutions should vacate on a gradual basis. Until 1976, 79, traditional institutions were inside Nigerian constitution. Human migration out of Africa started from Yoruba race. Everybody converged at the centerpiece of tropical Africa, and everybody started to migrate. The out of Africa theory started from here. At some point, the world population 100,000 years ago were less than 30,000 people, 20,000, 30,000 people. Very small. You can imagine. They told us that we're idol worshippers. How are we idol worshippers? We call God Almighty. But we people, we have not really taken our time to study who we are.
Let me take you outside of Nigeria a bit. You recently just came back from delivering a lecture at the Chatham House in the UK. You've been to other countries. You've been to the UK, you've been to Canada, you've been to the US, and you've been able to engage with international institutions and Nigerians also in the diaspora. Now, what are the takeaways from those engagements in terms of the objective of your visit?
Oh, beautiful takeaways. I'll tell you, we've been able to close the rank, that long distance rank, especially with the diaspora, Nigerians in diaspora of Yoruba heritage. And over and above that, the Africa in diaspora, they don't have a spokesperson who speaks on their behalf. They used to have, but they don't have. So anywhere we go, they are even following everything. As I'm having an interview with you, they are following it up. They can see the positive impact that we are playing, not only in Yoruba land, but across the entire globe. We've been able to do a lot of issues in terms of conflict resolutions, reconciliations, bringing together, look at our slave history. We've been able to let them know that they were no slaves, but they were enslaved. They belonged to the lineage of princes and princesses. They did not know this. So we've had a lot of take-homes. So now we have a lot of influx back to Yoruba land. On a monthly basis, we have more than 300 people that come from diaspora that has never been to Nigeria. They've never been here. They usually come on a monthly basis. And it's increasing. They want to see and talk about our culture, feel our heritage, feel our tradition. So they've been coming. So it's working. We are getting a lot of positive feedback. Even for children in diaspora, for them to be speaking in Yoruba other than English, we've achieved quite a lot. We have testimonials, tons and thousands of testimonials. Families that will say, oh, now my daughter now speaks Yoruba. They've seen what we're doing in this particular place. My son now knows how to prostrate for me. These are things to keep our heritage and tradition alive, and it's working.
I'd like to ask you, Kabisi, how widespread is the Yoruba race across continents?
In the world, in terms of being widespread, in terms of our tentacles, if I tell you, a lot of people don't know, it's the oldest human race in the world. It's been proven now by Harvard Laboratory, the science laboratory in Harvard, and the Pasteur Institute in France. These are prominent institute that does huge research as far as DNA, human DNA is concerned. It's been proven now we are the oldest human race. Nobody can dispute it any longer. It's been proven scientifically. Human migration out of Africa started from Yoruba race. Everybody converged at the centerpiece of tropical Africa, and everybody started to migrate. The out of Africa theory started from here. At some point, the world population 100,000 years ago were less than 30,000 people, 20,000, 30,000 people. Very small. You can imagine that kind of population. So my point is, it is very key for us to know that Yoruba race is widespread across the entire world. In Nigeria, we spread all the way to Shekiri, Urobo Kingdom, all the way to Middle Belt, Kogi, Idoma, we're there, all the way to Okun in Edo, Kogi State. We're in Edo. We're even in Anambra in Igbo land. We have the Oba people. We have a settlement in Anambra, it's Oba. It is 100% Yoruba settlement. And they've been there from time immemorial. And they have traced their route back to Yoruba land. So in total, we are like estimated about 65, 60, 70 million. But that's not even the interesting thing. Across West African coastline, we are in all the 16 countries of West Africa. It's interesting. Ghana is divided into two sections. The Ga section, the southern Ghana, is called the Ga section. And that's Yoruba land, where Bashorun Ga used to direct the Dahomey people. I've been to Ghana. It's unbelievable the way they welcome me and all our heritage, common ancestral background. Everything we do in common. They didn't even dispute that they are from Yoruba land and their root is Ife. So these are things we need to bring back to life. Same for Togo. A large population of Togo, the Yorubas. Benin Republic, oh my goodness. The second official language in Benin Republic after French is Yoruba land. Is Yoruba language. Not even English. The second official language is Yoruba. The Benin people, Republic of Benin. So if you look at the entire West African coast, we have a lot of Yorubas. Yorubas are the settlers in Sierra Leone and Liberia. A lot of them, they've traced their route to Egba, Ubomosho people, Egba people, Ijebu people. Clearly, they are not disputing that fact. A lot of slaves that left, that gotten freedom because they started calling it liberation area. They carved it out. And they settled a lot of slaves back. That they said they don't want to stay from the land of captivity. So they are liberated. So they call it liberation area, Liberia. They are mostly Yorubas. The aborigines of Liberia are Yoruba people. The same for Sierra Leone and other, countries. Look at Congo. As far as Sudan, the northern part of Sudan and a portion in southern Sudan, they still speak Yoruba with tribal marks. It's unbelievable. Another shocking thing is Ethiopia. The Oromos people, the Oromia people. And one of the greatest warriors in Yoruba land was Oromia. We bear the same name, Oromia people. They're called the Oromos people, but they are Oromia. In Ethiopia, they have a very strong link to Yoruba people. All the way to Sudan, all the way to Egypt. We have a lot of people in Egypt. The aborigines of Egypt, a lot of people don't know that the real aborigines of Egypt were blacks. The current occupier of Egypt right now are the mixed race from the Arabian country. But they are not the original occupiers, they are not the original settlers. We had more Yoruba people. And if you look at the Yoruba language and Arabic language, is about 60-70% in similarity. We speak almost the same thing. So these are all the things we're doing in terms of advocacy. But another thing that is shocking is if you go to Brazil, Yorubas in Brazil, they are in excess of 100 million. Population of Brazil is over 200 million. Half of Brazilians are Yorubas. The largest gathering, social gathering in the world, it's in Brazil every February in Rio de Janeiro. A lot of Yorubas don't even know. And everything they do is Yoruba based. The largest human gathering, social gathering. the largest. Every year they do it in Rio de Janeiro, and they speak about our heritage and culture. Nothing, but that's what they do. It happens there. Same for Cuba, same for Trinidad and Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis, all the Caribbean islands. So now, in terms of physical counting, we are getting to 500 million, and it's getting more.
But
it's getting more now.
Why is it difficult then for this race to be united, the Yorubas?
That has been our major problem. The day Yoruba unites, then that means the strength of the black race, black emancipation will start. Because we're the forebears. Everything started from us. The world can't dispute it. That's the only surviving culture and heritage in the whole of black race. The raw one that is undiluted. Let the people go to Brazil. Let people go to the Caribbean island. It's still intact. Survived 400 years of transatlantic slave trade. So at some point in Africa, there was nothing like Nigeria, there was nothing like Ghana, there was nothing like Togo. It was one nation, different kingdoms, one people, one big happy family. Until 1884, Berlin Conference. They started it and they finished it. 1885, like this, scramble for Africa started. The Portuguese said, no, this is my own portion. The German said, this is my portion. The Italian said, no, this is my portion. The people from British colony said, this is my portion. French colony. So they started slicing Africa like bread. Unfortunately. But we need to come back to days of pre-Berlin Conference. And that's what we are preaching. And so far so good, it is working well.
If you look beyond the Southwest, if you look at Nigeria as a whole, do you think that enough is being done to preserve the diverse culture, the diverse practices, the traditional practices, in terms of preserving these things for the future?
Well, absolutely. If you look at Benin Kingdom, they are really, I'm impressed. We have common ancestral background. They keep it. It's intact. You know, the people from the eastern part of the country, yes, we have very strong link. That's another thing we are establishing, that we are brothers. That's the truth. We have common ancestral background. You know, they will trace their roots to the Hebrews. No, we are working a lot. I'm the Chancellor of University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and we're doing a lot of intensive research. The common linkage. We're connecting the dots. Inside the palace, my palace, I have the settlement of Igbo people in this palace. And it is still called Igbo settlement till date. And whenever they want to greet me, there are some certain ways they greet me in Igbo way. So these are little details that we're trying to connect now. So that kind of heritage is still kept, but we want to take it to another level. For us to all see how we are all linked. So aside from Southwest, West, we keep our heritage so well. But we don't want to lose it. So beyond Southwest, some places are still trying. If you go to the North, oh yes, but North is more of Islam. Because when Islam came, and the advent of Uthman Dan Fodio in 18th century, so they are more of their own heritage is linked to their religious beliefs. Their heritage and tradition is linked to their religious beliefs. So, but for us, you can separate it easily. It is only in southwestern Nigeria that you will see a Muslim and you will see a Christian living peacefully together. Nothing will happen. And they are different religious background. Because there's something, they have a common denominator, and that is the heritage and culture of a Yoruba man. We should be a mirror, a living example for the entire world. It's very difficult to see a 55-45 or almost 50-50 balance, and there won't be problem of Muslim and Christians predominantly. No, because we have something that brings all of us together. And when it comes to heritage and tradition, they won't ask whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian. No. So have you ever heard that Yorubas that are Muslim and Yorubas that are Christian are fighting before? It's not possible. That Yoruba heritage and tradition is stronger than religion. That's our edge.
So how do you now begin to set this race, the Yoruba race, on the path of progress and development as an example for all to see?
We have started advocacy. Why have I been traveling all over the world? There's unity amongst Yoruba Obas now. We are all working together. We are all speaking with the same voice. It's not perfect. You still have some few Obas that are still dissenting here and there, but it's better than before. Before it was really, really not so pleasant. It wasn't a good projection for the race at all. But this time around, we've improved greatly. That I can assure you that we're making progress as a race.
Your two-year reign on the throne, what would you say is your most challenging moment so far?
Well, so far so good. Is to blend that tradition and modernity. But to the glory of God, it's a big challenge. Social media age now, trying to convince a lot of youths, they don't even know the name of their king in their community. They don't even know where they are from. Look at Ooni of Ife, was the first governor general in the entire black race in Africa. That was the very first appointed. And at some point, they said, okay, traditional institutions should vacate on a gradual basis. Until 1976, 79, traditional institutions were inside Nigerian constitution. Human migration out of Africa started from Yoruba race. Everybody converged at the centerpiece of tropical Africa, and everybody started to migrate. The out of Africa theory started from here. At some point, the world population 100,000 years ago were less than 30,000 people, 20,000, 30,000 people. Very small. You can imagine. They told us that we're idol worshippers. How are we idol worshippers? We call God Almighty. But we people, we have not really taken our time to study who we are.
Let me take you to the event at the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton, which you attended. You observed that there were artifacts on display without relevant information. Why is it important for us as Nigerians, as Africans, to tell our own stories? And how do we begin to kickstart the process to connect the dots, like you suggested?
Well, in your house, where you live right now, can anybody tell you where you normally place your car keys? Or where you put your TV set? Or where you normally put your glass cup in your kitchen? Or where you normally park your car? Who can tell you this? Can I say it? It's not possible. It's only you and your family. So if you want to send anybody to your house, they will get instruction from you or any of your family members. If they boggle your house, they will find a lot of difficulty. They will first of all ransack something that will take them 2 minutes to know. It might take them 5 days or 10 days to unveil it. But you just say, calm down. What are you looking for? I'm looking for your pink tie. This is where I kept it. And they will meet it there, isn't it? So that's the way we of African descent, we need to start to tell our story. If we don't tell our story, nobody will tell our story for us. They will say our story and tell the world the way they have seen it. Look at, I went to Oxford University. In the history of Oxford, that is the largest archives for African affairs in the world. They have the largest in terms of records. What that has happened. The Portuguese were the first travelers that traveled all over the world. But the British took it over from them. And they kept the records. Very huge archival material for Africa. Guess what? In the history of Oxford University of many centuries, not even one black man has gotten to the position of the head of affairs for African affairs. how will that person tell the story of a black man? Of course, the story of a black man will be told the way he or she wants it. So, but this time around, to the glory of God, we were able to, through advocacy here and there, they made one person to be the head of African affairs in Oxford University. And thank God the person is from a Yoruba descent. So that's a good achievement. We are making progress in these advocacy initiatives that we're doing. We have to tell our story ourselves. Our artifacts littered everywhere in the world. They don't even know. They'll ask, what can we do? And when we get there, we just say, we just shake our head. Oh my goodness.
How did those artifacts get there in the first place?
It's a long story. Have you forgotten they colonized us?
Right.
They colonized and destroyed many kingdoms.
Right.
And they took all those artifacts away. But they didn't know how to do it. But Benin dynasty tried to get some back. We still have everywhere littered all over the world.
Right.
They don't know what to do with it. They don't know all the things that needs to be performed. How to propitiate the spirit. Some of them still have spirit living in them. But we need to propitiate those spirits for it to be useful. So they just took it away and just hang it and
Now,
put it somewhere.
your suggestion, Kabisi, is that we should loan those artifacts and put them on display.
Yes.
From the foreign museums. Shouldn't there be a process through which these artifacts can be retrieved and brought back?
Well, my school of thought is a bit different. And I am a peaceful person. You can achieve a lot of things via peace. You can achieve so much with peace. You don't need to fight. Why should I go and fight that I want to get those artifacts back? They know that it's mine. They cannot lie about it. So why can't we create a very middle ground? Get those things to be properly displayed to the world. And get our people to properly explain it to them. That's a different approach. Other than, okay, we want to retrieve it. If you retrieve it, what's the next stage? We need to display it to the world. This thing does not belong to these people. It belongs to us. We can work things out. So I belong to that school of thought. We still have some that have been retrieved here. We can be doing exchange programs. That will even encourage them to even come to our side. The more. We don't belong to the race that cherish antiquities and artifacts. We believe it's just to be sold and make money from. It's world heritage. It's priceless assets. But we here, we don't believe in it. I'll ask you a question. When last did you go to a museum? Or take your children to museums?
A few weeks ago.
Which museum?
Benin.
Maybe because you are in the media.
Right.
But people will not do that. An average family will not do that. It's very rare because we don't belong to that school of thought. So gradually we're now changing it. So to do exchange and reciprocity programs with our artifacts is more peaceful and more accommodating and more appealing to everybody all over the world.
So how do we get to that stage where we begin to value these things, our artifacts, our culture, our values?
Where it's getting in gradually, sipping in gradually, and we're valuing it gradually. I can assure you.
How did we lose it, Kabisi?
It's a long story.
How did we lose those?
It's a long story. And I'll tell you one straight up. They brought in religion that was taken from us. It was religion they used to deceive us. I'm sorry, it's a very unfortunate situation. The truth be told, they told us that we're idol worshippers. How are we idol worshippers? We call God Almighty. But we people, we have not really taken our time to study who we are. We just probably believe we're idol worshippers. I'm not going to blame anybody. Because God is a jealous God. If you start to call the lesser gods above God is a problem. That's idolatry. But God has a lot of divine spirits that are servants to God. The same way you have drivers, you have cook, you have cleaners. That's the way God is. God has many servants. One of the servants of God is me in front of you. Another servant is wind. That one is not in human form. Another servant is rain. Another one is sun. Another one is fire. God directs them the way He wants. So when you serve God through those mysteries, there's nothing wrong in it. Not that you will now say you'll be calling wind, wind, wind. No, you will call wind to edify God. You will call sun to edify God Almighty. God does not want any of His glory to be shared by anybody. I believe in one God. I believe in God, the creator of everything. But they gave us an impression, and I'm not going to blame them, because some of our ancestors, they concentrated on one, and they will be calling that one, calling that one, calling that one. God gave us, in this part of the world, many of His servants, and they said, we're idol worshippers. Water is essential. No human being can live without water. But that water can kill you. That water can kill you. What do you mean by worship? You have to give honor to water. Can you survive without it? You can't. Why should you worship water? You have to worship God. But give honor to water. If you don't give honor to water, go and pee inside the water you are going to drink. You are dishonoring water like that. Why are you processing the water you are drinking? Is it not true honoring? Why are you filtering the water you are drinking? Why are you processing it? Why are you nurturing it? You must drink water for survival, human survival. But that same water, if you don't know how to swim, you jump inside pool, it will drown you. If you don't know how to handle water well, just your bathroom, if you put that water and go inside your wash and basin, your basin, you're gone. If you drink that water and it goes to a wrong pipe of your lungs, you're gone. And that's the same water that you cannot do without. Look at you have to know how to balance it. So they have turned us to idol worshippers. We are not. I will defend it as a spiritual head of a race. Spirituality of Yoruba land started from this kingdom, and everything is still intact. We are not idol worshippers. If you concentrate too much on one, that's idolatry. God doesn't want that. Edify God through all the things that He brought into the world.
Kavish, let me ask you an interesting question, and I think I had asked you during our last meeting. How do you balance your Christian beliefs with traditional practices?
Thank you very much. It's in the Bible. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. It is very easy to balance. The traditional beliefs, what do they use for everything they do? Nature. In Christmas, during Christmas period, did you not go and buy chicken for your household? Did you kill it or not? Or you just ate it alive? Did you kill it and spill the blood? Did you kill or you didn't kill chicken in your household? Or turkey? Maybe you did turkey or chicken. Or maybe you are a Muslim. You're a Christian. But you didn't buy chicken.
I did.
Okay, good. Did you kill it or not?
It was killed.
Good. Did you spill the blood to the ground or you didn't spill the blood to the ground? You didn't answer me.
Kavish, I just said chicken.
But you must have gotten through a particular process.
Right.
Maybe you went to buy it where they've already processed it. But my point is, if you look at the traditional beliefs, they slaughter chickens. What do they use? Oil that you use to fry that chicken. Salt that you will put inside that chicken. During Elia festival, they slaughter ram. What do traditional worshippers believe? They slaughter ram. And they use nature. They use nature to do everything. The same that we do. Either you're a Christian or you are a Muslim. Our traditional worshippers believe, the things we do traditionally, there's so many similarities. Look at Palm Sunday. Why do they use palm in traditional belief and they use it in Palm Sunday too? Why? What's the link? It's becoming too similar. There's a lot of similarities. What God does not want is idolatry. And what can become idolatry? When you keep calling something, you forgot that name, God Almighty, the King of Kings, the Creator of everything. You call that name and call the ultimate name. The same way we call Jesus and in reference to God Almighty. The same way Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and reference to God. That's it. That's the way God has made it. So to balance my faith as a Christian and as a traditional ruler, very easy. But our people did not take their time to understudy the two and the similarities. Whenever you tell them, they just close their mind. That no, this is idolatry.